Good evening. This is ANCHORPETE, and I'm with my wife, Shari T, and we are doing a live broadcast of our review of Mare of Easstown, Episode 1, which just premiered on HBO and HBO Max. Tonight. It is late. It's like 11:11 in Texas, but we are going to bring our review to you guys. We don't know if it's going to be every week, but
I can't commit to every week.
Yes. And based on what I just watched and all the copious notes I took, I have a lot to talk about with my wife over here.
All right. I'm kind of sleepy. I'm just letting y'all know.
Okay. So, as you guys will see from the thumbnail, the show's kind of depressing. Spoilers, right? And here's the thing, right? Go watch the show first and then come join us, okay? But, the show is a little bit of a downer. The thing is with HBO, right? They do all different types of shows on their Sunday night programming. Like you have your Game of Thrones, your Westworld, right? These big spectacle shows. And then you have, the crime drama shows like The Wire, The Sopranos. Finally, you have these sort of murder mystery shows, which Shari and I kind of eat up.
Yeah, I love it. I love like the personal details of the characters' lives being thrown in there. In fact, it's my preference. I like this a lot.
Yeah. The kind of shows I'm talking about are like The Night Of, which had Riz Ahmed and John Turturro. We were big fans of that show.
Mm-hmm.
Another show, which is kind of more on the supernatural side, but they really did play up the mystery, was The Outsider.
Yeah, it's about the characters, really. I mean, yes, there is a mystery, but it's about the characters, really. And this is, I'm sure, going to be so much about Kate Winslet's character.
Yeah.
Kate Winslet.
There you go, Kate Winslet. And she is the title mayor, M-A-R-E, Mare of Easttown. That's where she lives, right? And she is the local detective. And what we find out in this first episode is that there is a mystery. There was a missing girl from a year ago. It's her friend's daughter who's been missing for a year, and it hasn't been solved. Well, perhaps the person that killed that girl, if she's dead, might be the one that kills the girl at the end of this episode.
Yeah, spoilers.
Spoilers, guys.
Please don't watch this unless you have watched the show.
Yeah. So anyway, the thing is, though, you can see from a mile away who's going to be the victim, right? It's kind of, it's almost a little bit like on the nose. And
I mean, I was able to guess it. Were you? Were you thinking that?
I didn't think about it in the first two scenes that she was in, but like when she's riding her bike happily in the darkness, I'm like, okay, yeah, you're so dead.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it is about them wanting to like pick the most innocent, sweet person on the show. I mean, at least it wasn't the baby, but like, and make that be the one who is, murdered.
Yeah.
It's disturbing, but reflective of real life, maybe.
Yeah. And so much of this episode is establishing that character that, we have to watch kind of die, right? And
her name's Erin.
Erin, thank you. Okay. I wrote down all these names, but I'm going to have a hard time remembering them just right on the spot. We just watched the show like 5 minutes ago. Anyway, she is this basically single mom, and she's maybe a teenager, maybe early 20s. And right away, you see the father of her kid, who's this cute little redheaded kid. And the dad is just this horrible person, and his girlfriend is, so bad. And you just feel really bad for this girl, Erin, and her kid, that they live in the situation, right?
Yeah, and she lives with her mean, probably abusive father.
Yeah. So there's a lot of undesirable characters. And this show, I think a really big part of this show is establishing that it's a small town, everybody knows each other, and there are like a lot of deadbeat kind of people. There's a lot of kind of trashy people in this town.
I mean, I would say it's, there's probably some economics involved. I'm not sure where this is set. Pennsylvania?
I can't remember where they said. It's definitely like the Northeast. That's for sure.
Okay, well, there's probably a lot of people out of work. There's a lot of, it looks like there's, poverty. There's a lot of like blue collar workers.
Yeah, they did have this scene like to show the poverty. Like they had Kate Winslet's friend actually called the police because her brother had broken into her house, right?
Mm-hmm.
And her brother had broken into her house because he needed to steal stuff because they turned off the heat in his house. So yeah, there's definitely some very poor people.
Well, no, he was doing drugs.
Oh, he was doing drugs too.
And he
was
probably gonna like spend the money on that.
Yeah, one or the other, right? And so, and like Kate Winslet's family dynamic too. Her family's kind of a little messed up too. Like she's living with her mom, and then she's also watching her grandson.
Correction, her mom's living with her, and she makes that pretty
Oh.
clear because the mom questions why she was out until 3:30,
Yeah,
and she's
yeah.
like, "This is my house. You don't get to ask me that stuff now." But yeah, the mom's living with her probably, and they're just now establishing Kate Winslet's like multi-layered family.
Yeah.
I can't think of the right word.
Multi-generational? Like they're all like in the same
it's
house?
Where it's not an atomic family, but it's anyway, she is living with her grandson, her daughter, and her mother.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we don't know yet what's happened to her grandson's father, but he appears apparently he's dead. You know, they kind of make a reference to it.
Yeah.
So it's like a complicated household, and she even says, "My life is complicated right now." And we haven't talked about Kate Winslet's character yet.
Oh, we probably should, right?
Yeah,
she's the title character,
and I think it's mainly about her.
Yeah. So Mare, like I said, she's a detective, and it's a small town, so they don't really need, big detective squad or anything like that. She's the sergeant detective. She says in the very beginning, and she says that she kind of handles burglaries and things like that.
Drug
overdoses.
She said shitty things like that happen in this town.
Yeah. So that girl missing, her friend's daughter missing, that's like unheard of. That's not the norm there, right?
But that is under her jurisdiction. I mean, that is something she's supposed to work on and solve.
Yeah. So she does live with her mom and with her son.
Her mom, played by Jean Smart, who I said to Pete, she always elevates everything. I'm glad she's in this.
Oh yeah, Jean Smart. I was real excited to see her, and she's from. We saw her in Fargo pretty recently too, and she was in that other movie that show we really love too, Dirty John.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, she's in all this great TV.
I always like her. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, Jean Smart's in it, and there's a lot of people.
Designing Women.
Oh, I remember that show. Dang.
She's one of those chicks.
Whoa, that is from like a real long. I watched that when I was a kid. That's crazy. So anyway, but there's other people too, like Pam's like fiance. Remember him from like The Office? The guy that she's with before she gets her gym.
Yes, he's in it.
So he's Kate Winslet's ex-husband.
Whatever that actor's name is.
And I'm like, is his age the same as Kate Winslet? He's got to be a lot younger than her, right?
I don't know. Kate Winslet's my age. She's 45.
Yeah. So that kind of threw me off too, that she had a grandson too, because I mean.
That's how old she is in real life. I don't know how old she's supposed to be on the show. I assume they would try to like match her up with her age.
Yeah, maybe. But then the thing is, right? There's all these cameos. There's all these people that I didn't know was in it. I just knew Kate Winslet was in it, and all of a sudden I'm like, Guy Pearce is in it.
I knew that because I just watched the preview.
Oh, okay.
He's in the preview, and his hair looks really bad in this.
Yeah,
I just want to cut it.
Yeah, dude.
And wash it.
Not very attractive for Guy Pearce.
Well, let's not go that far. He's always attractive.
Right. Well, his personality is the attractive part, right?
And his face.
Oh, his face too. Yes, but like when you combine the two, he's got charisma to spare.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he picks up Kate Winslet in this show too at one point.
Yeah, I might let
Yeah. So he's a writer, and unfortunately, Shari and I were talking about how he might be one of the suspects.
We're already suspicious of him. He's new to town.
Yeah.
And I just don't think they would cast someone like Guy Pearce unless he had a juicy role.
Yeah, exactly.
Hate to say it.
Yeah. So he's going to be a recurring character. We could tell from the And then we also saw Evan Peters, who was just recently on WandaVision. He's from American Horror Story. He's going to play some kind of role in the show too. So they do have some real interesting people on the show. And then weren't you saying too that one of her friends, like Kate Winslet's friend, was on The Outsiders?
Yeah.
Or the Outsider?
Yeah.
Outsider.
Jason Bateman's wife. Her character's name is Glory on The Outsider, and I wish we knew this actress's name. Her last name's Nicholson. Anyway, she's on the show too. She's Kate Winslet's best friend.
Yeah.
She's in a bunch of other things too.
Right. And in The Outsider, she's this woman that's just dealing with grief. And that's the thing about these HBO kind of murder mystery shows, is that you have the murder pretty much in the first episode, and then you see the fallout, whether it's The Night Of or The Outsider or this. Am I missing any too? I'm trying to think. Other HBO. You mentioned The Killing a lot, but that was AMC.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And it just, her, Kate Winslet's character, again, we still haven't talked about her.
Oh,
what did you think of her character?
Let's pull it back. Okay, I'm so glad you asked me that, because Kate Winslet's character reminds me of a few different female characters that I love, but like from comics. She kind of reminds me of Jessica Jones. She also reminds me of this main character that's in this comic called Stumptown, which they like made into a show too, and that was written by Greg Rucka. So it's this sort of this woman that's been through a lot and is kind of cynical and drinks a lot. I've seen that kind of character, and is usually like a detective. So that's that type.
Is Jessica Jones a detective?
She's a private eye.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the character in Stumptown is like a private eye too.
Okay, I don't think private eye is the same as a detective.
Oh, absolutely not.
Because you work for yourself as a private eye, and there's like a whole different. There's no qualifications really. You can just work for yourself.
Yeah.
Whereas a detective, you have to work for a police force and
yes, and so
probably move up in the ranks and whatnot.
Yeah, and she definitely shows that she's been on the force for a while. You know, her boss defers to her about previous crimes, and then there's one part where there's like a guy that's brand new to the force, and she's kind of giving him pointers too, right? There's one cop who's brand new to the force. He goes to this one crime scene, and there's blood on the floor, and he's just starting to like panic and stuff, and
yeah, he can't stand the sight of blood, and she has to kind of coach him through that while she's also trying to arrest a drug addict / thief. So
yeah.
like her life is kind of it's probably too much for a normal person to handle, and the stress of it has probably worn on her quite a bit. So she's like this worn down, cynical, not very happy woman. And I think what might end up being important here for her character is that 25 years ago, she had some sort of winning shot in a basketball game.
Yeah.
I'm assuming they haven't like gone into detail, but everybody in the town sort of reveres her. Everyone knows her, and she seems like she's sick of that.
Yeah. I'm really glad you brought that up, because from that shot, her name's Lady Hawk, right? And they gave her that nickname just based on that one shot. And so it's kind of like followed her up until this day.
Right. Whereas you would think something like that following you would be a good thing. I have a feeling it's going to be a bad thing in this show because she doesn't seem to appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's more like a burden.
Yeah. I don't think she likes the spotlight,
Yeah, but I don't know why. I can guess and say maybe she hasn't lived up to that potential because that was probably a shining moment in her life. And if that was high school, I'm not sure. It was high school, right?
Yeah.
If that was high school, that's a hard thing to live up to, as you go into your 20s, 30s, 40s and live a normal life.
Yeah. She kind of like peaked, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of funny, right? Because like Guy Pearce plays a writer in this, and he said that he peaked. He essentially just wrote one book.
Right.
And he picks her up in a bar. And
maybe they'll bond over their early peaking.
I think so. Yeah. And he
sounds like a Chinese dish.
Yeah. and he calls her Lady Hawk too, and she doesn't like being called that. That's like this little flirtation. Yeah. So anyway, I think we should maybe just talk about like two more things before we wrap this up. Ready?
Cool.
I think we should talk about what actually happens to the night of the killing, and like what we might speculate why the girl died.
Yeah, it's so depressing.
Yeah.
Because she's like this sweet mom to a little baby.
Yeah.
That baby needs her.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The little baby is like this little cute redhead baby, and he's just smiley. And when we introduce Erin, she's sitting there saying like, I can't wait. I'm going to miss you so much. I'm going to miss holding you and stuff like that. Like she's just in love with her baby, right? And you see that the father of the child and his girlfriend just want nothing to do with her. He doesn't want to give her any money, and she even wants like money for surgery for the baby's ear, and he's not willing to help out his own son. He doesn't really even seem like he wants to be involved with his son, right?
I mean, we don't know totally much, like all that much about him. He does seem like very abrupt with her. He's annoyed with her. He's rude to her, and he may not have the money. Is what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody seems kind of like down on their luck as far as money goes in this show. Mare's probably one of the wealthier people, and she's not wealthy. When she goes to buy like the aquarium tank for her kid, which is kind of like funny little scene. She's like, she can't afford that. She can't afford this, but the way she says it is like much more clever.
Yeah.
Anyway, I forget what she says.
Yeah, it's like maybe something less interesting or something like that.
Yeah, like we don't need all the bells and whistles.
Right.
And it's just a turtle that's gonna die. And
yeah. There's that cynicism that she was talking about. Yeah. And so the girlfriend of the father is like, we're going to get you. I'm going to get you for texting, whatever the guy's name is, loser face.
Don't text my man.
Yeah.
Right. So you have this like dynamic where the woman who gets murdered at the end of the first episode, she has a shitty like father.
Yeah.
Daddy baby. Baby daddy, yeah.
Yes.
She has a shitty baby daddy, and he has even shittier girlfriends who are like pretty mean to her, and they take her baby for the weekend because he's the father. And I don't know how that's going to be so hard to live with if you love your baby. And
I couldn't even imagine.
They're just cussing at the mom and screaming at her, and just ridiculous stuff that shouldn't be important when a little child is present.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they're setting up, I think, for who the potential suspects are in her murder.
Yeah. And she's all excited because she's going to go on a date with this guy, Brendan, that she's been texting with, and he seems real sweet. She shows up at this sort of like this kegger or something like that, like that's near a bridge. It's in the woods. And
it was my impression it's like a place for underage people to drink, which small towns have that.
Oh, yeah.
My small town I grew up having had that, but it was the parking lot of Walmart.
Yeah.
After Walmart closed,
Oh, that's
what have you. This was the woods.
Yeah.
There's like a couch in the woods.
Oh, okay. Bringing it back to
No, I mean on the show there was a couch in the woods.
Oh, there was?
Yeah, you didn't notice that?
I guess I didn't notice. I was just waiting to see the clues about the girl dying. So like, oh, she's gonna die soon.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, and even me from New York, like Staten Island, we had that kind of stuff too. By the conference house, there's stuff like that. Shout out. But
we're partying at the conference house.
Not me. I was kind of too like nerdy to go to stuff like that. But
it's such a beautiful spot.
Yeah, a lot of woods around there though. So anyway, what I was saying though was that so the guy Brendan, she goes to meet him at this like keg, right? And it turns out there's no Brendan, and it was the girlfriend of the baby daddy that was pretending to be Brendan. And they jump her and they like punch her in the face, and they're playing this real like kind of music as they're this mom of this kid. Just miserable stuff.
While the father's standing there watching.
While the father's standing there watching.
Helped wrap her out,
Yeah.
Told his girlfriend that she texted him. And
yeah. And they're videotaping it too, which of course I think will probably get them in trouble because.
Good.
Yeah. After that, Kate Winslet's daughter kind of swoops in. Kate Winslet's daughter is also, you said, was played by the daughter from The Nice Guys, right?
Yeah. And she's in some other things too.
Yeah, what's that actress's name again?
I'm not sure I'm saying it right. Anjuri Rice.
Okay,
her last name's Rice, but the first name's like Anjuri.
Yeah, I remember she was great in The Nice Guys.
I always remember her from that role. She was wonderful, and she's adorable.
Yeah, and so
she's in the Miley Cyrus Black episode too.
Yeah, and she sings in that, like you said, and then she also sings in this. She's like in a band, and she kind of shows up out of nowhere and saves Erin, and then Erin runs off into the woods, and we're like, okay, next thing we're gonna see is her dead body. And that is what
Sure enough.
Yeah.
It's the closing scene.
Yeah. She's just laying in like a little riverbed, and like there's some.
I think she was naked.
She was naked. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a nice little downer before the week. The week begins, right? But Shari, what I was going to tell the people watching, if they've watched the show or not, who cares? I was going to say to you, Shari, do you want to go down to the cemetery and plant some flowers?
Shit, yeah.
There you go. See, that's because that's from the movie Out of the Furnace, which is a movie that Shari and I love like so much. It's like one of our favorites as a couple. Starring Christian Bale, Woody Allen.
Woody Harrelson.
Wow, not Woody Allen.
No. Woody Harrelson.
I was going to do like an impersonation of him with the Fight Club, but whatever.
There's only like 2 Woodies.
Yes.
Well, 3 if you count Toy Story.
Oh, no, not him. Yes. It's the Woody Harrelson, who's good at playing a despicable villain in that movie. The reason why I'm bringing up this movie, Out of the Furnace, is because the guy that wrote it, who wrote the screenplay for it, his name is written on my paper somewhere. Hold on, let me see. Brad Inglesby. Brad Inglesby wrote Out of the Furnace, and he is the showrunner for this show. And he wrote this episode that we just watched.
Yeah.
So that has me on board. I don't know about you, Shari.
Yes, yeah. Well, I love Out of the Furnace, and that also is about a small town.
Yes.
And all the kind of shady goings on in the small town.
Yeah. It's a real good point. Yeah.
Blue collar workers and
Poor
things like that.
And crime. Yeah. And then he must have a thing for Afflecks too, right? Because one of the last things he did was The Way Back, which was like a Ben Affleck basketball movie too. So he must be into basketball. I think I saw in his bio on Wikipedia that like his dad was a basketball
Maybe he's
coach.
part of their troupe. You know how the Afflecks kind of have, they're with Matt Damon and they have like friends they work with kind of. Maybe he's like one of them. And then we're saying this is set in Pennsylvania. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's like near Boston or something. Kate Winslet does have some sort of like accent that I wasn't able to place because it just shows up sporadically. I'm sorry, it's not a good accent. I don't think.
It's okay.
Did you?
I'm used to her trying to be like an American, and you know, sometimes it's real good, sometimes it's a little off.
Oh, by the way, isn't it weird to see her? I mean, to me, it's weird to see her kind of in a contemporary role.
Because she's always
almost always in a period piece,
Mhm.
with the exception of Eternal Sunshine, where she's great actually as a modern girl.
What about like Little Children, or what that movie?
That's true. Little
right?
Children. Oh, that's so good. God, I'm a big fan of Kate Winslet, and she's always really good. Always picks interesting roles, and you're right, she's contemporary in that. But my favorite things that she's in, which are Titanic, we just watched Heavenly Creatures. I love Sense and Sensibility. She's really good in those period pieces.
Yeah.
She's definitely not usually a run-down, depressed woman the way she is in this.
No.
She's really kind of perky and like alive, right?
I agree, yeah. And like you're absolutely right. She's always in like period pieces. Like even I'm thinking of like Revolutionary Road.
Mm-hmm. There you go, 50s.
And then you mentioned Heavenly Creatures, which that's the 50s as well. Yeah. And guys, speaking of Heavenly Creatures, I'm working on editing our video. Shari and I just watched Heavenly Creatures by Peter Jackson. It's Kate Winslet's first movie, and that is going to be on this channel probably by Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's another downer.
Certainly the way it ended, yes.
She's not afraid of downers.
No. And Revolutionary Road's a super downer too.
Super downer.
Yeah. So, and Titanic is kind of a downer, right?
It's the ultimate downer.
Right?
And what's the other? Eternal Sunshine's kind of a downer, but a very, very beautiful downer.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of that movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, is there anything else you want to add, or do you think we're good?
I think we're good.
Yeah, I think we're good too. So, guys, we're not sure if we're going to watch this every week, but we definitely wanted to share with you our reaction to tonight's episode. So, thank you so much for watching, and please make sure that you keep watching ANCHORPETE shows.